Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. It's week 5 in the NFL, and this is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for NFL week 5. Of course, every week we talk with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, about the notable action that he takes each week in the NFL. And Brent, of course, we have to start off this show by asking about what the ramifications were of the maybe the wackiest finish, the baddest beat in all of NFL, going back, I don't know how many years, on Monday Night Football. Of course, that last-second touchdown that, first of all, changed the spread winner from the Chiefs to Washington, and also changed the total from what was looking like a clear under to maybe even a middle. I was thinking that might have been a disastrous result for the books because they might have gotten middled on the total, and I'm assuming that there was more action on the Chiefs, so I'm guessing that the books got hurt by that result.
I find it kind of amusing, Peter, that you ask these questions like you don't know the result. You know the answer, and you know it wasn't good.
I do know the answer. Let's hear it. We want to hear it from you, Brent. No one trusts me if I just tell them what happened.
You know what bothers me most is that
I'm laughing while I say it.
No one's talking about the second half. The second half line, KC was a 6-point favorite and got driven up like 6 minus 15, 6.5. Sharps were taking Washington, but the public just bet the crap, I'll say, out of the Chiefs in the second half. And that also put that line from Chiefs being winning by 6 to them winning by 12. So not only did it turn out from a dog and under to a favorite and over, we also lost the second half on that. So, I mean, obviously it wasn't a good result for us. And, you saw the line move and you knew it was sharp action coming on Washington, taking that number all the way down to 6.5. And so, as a line manager, you're sitting there thinking, I'm in a decent position. I'm on the right side. And at halftime, you're saying, okay, this is a really good spot for us. And lo and behold, the old expression, a mean nothing touchdown. Well, it meant a whole lot. Now, it didn't ruin our week or anything like that, but it was a bad start for us as well, for sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of lost in all this is what happened in the second half as well. Again, that line was 6 or 6.5. That's where it closed with Kansas City, and that put them from winning 6, which either a push or a loss if you laid the 6.5, to them winning that as well.
All right. Okay. So for anyone who thinks that those quirky results always seem to favor the books, last week was clearly not the case. The books got severely burned by that quirky result. And then let's move to the Thursday night game because kind of an odd result as well. The Pats game went way under. So anyone who teased the Pats to the over got burned, and all those teasers got scotched. But there was some line movement there, and the line kind of landed on 5, which people consider to be a dead number. But I'm sure you took a lot of bets at Tampa Bay plus 5.5 or 5, and a bunch of bets on the Pats at 4.5 or lower. Was that a bad result for you on Thursday night, or basically an okay result?
No, it wasn't bad for us just because, as I always say, we never need New England to win. Now, this is a case where you saw the line movement drop as much as it did, and that was because I had good two-way action, which was kind of surprising. I think it was maybe an overreaction to how bad the New England Patriots defense had looked the last couple of weeks. But, they're just, realistically, whether you like them or not, you just accept the fact they're a really good team. They're going to get their stuff together. So, it wasn't a bad result for us in that regard. And, of course, the total as well. That total dropped quite a bit as well. And that was sharp action driving out. But that here in-house, I had over money as well. So I was pretty good on the side. I actually needed the game to come under, which it did. So that wasn't a bad result for me. But yeah, you touched on it between like the 5 number and stuff like that. Is one of those numbers you don't fear it landing 5 or whatever as a better. But if you're a guy out there and you're thinking you're betting this game, and you're like, someone's got a 5 and someoe's got a 4 and you have 4.5, and you say, what's the difference? And take the 4.5. Well, these are things that happen. And again, the difference it makes long term, you just have no idea how much difference it makes. Every now and then, if someone can give you a free half point all season long, all year long, grab stuff like that. It really, really does come into play.
Absolutely. And you can give yourself a free half point all season long, not every game, but many games, just by line shopping and using the best book around. That's why the pros do that. All right. So let's talk about 3 games of interest for NFL Week 5, Green Bay and Dallas. The public loves both teams, and I'm assuming that because there hasn't been much line movement, there's been huge even action from the public and no notable sharp action. But I'm guessing that the public is still willing to bet Dallas, despite the fact that they lost straight up last week.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head in terms of the action. This is going to be probably the heaviest bet game of the week, I would imagine. Taking taking outside out of taking out maybe the late game between Kansas City and Houston, and obviously the Monday night game. But of the regular weekday, week games on Sunday, this is probably going to be the heaviest bet game I would expect. The fact that it's late definitely helps as well for people who want to throw their winnings on the next game or kind of play a little bit of catch up. So it's going to be we're going to have a ton of action on that game. And right now I do have slightly more money favoring the Dallas, which them being at home. I've got a wager count probably like 2-1 favoring Green Bay. Now I don't have sharp action either way on this one, so it's not that I've got public action one way and sharp action the other way. It's just that I've got just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Wager count, like I said, almost 2-1 favoring Green Bay there. And looking at my money, it's almost dead even or slightly favoring Cowboys. So it's not sharp action, it's not a sharp public split, but it's just maybe some heavier bets that came in on Dallas. The total as well, I mean, like you said, it hasn't moved a whole lot. 53.5 down to 53 is where I am right now. It opened like 2.5, basically 2.5 dog 15 or 2.5 flat. I'm 2.5 flat, and I basically haven't moved this number. So just solid two-way action, and you can expect there's going to be a ton of action on this game. I'd be shocked if you saw much line movement on this on the side, at least maybe the total, but not the side.
Right. So a good betting profile for you, and also just sitting at 2.5. No chance of getting middled or anything like that. So that'll be probably a good game for the books this week. Then I want to ask you about the KC game, KC and Houston, right? KC, of course, 4-0 now, straight up and ATS. And I'm wondering, is the public starting to treat KC like an elite team in the NFL, like the Pats or some of these other teams? I mean, I know that Houston, 3 straight covers and off of a huge margin cover that was kind of eye-opening, but still, I'm wondering are you starting to see a big public action on KC every week now, or is that not yet the case?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting more Kansas City action week after week than we had in the past. Last week was a good example of that. Where I had just a ton of money, ton of public money coming on Kansas City. But you already talked about that and kind of rubbed salt in my face over that one, salt in my boots on that one. But this game, yeah, it's interesting though that with Houston is they've always been a team that people kind of want to like because they always had that decent defense, a solid defense. One of the top defenses with Watt and stuff like that. And their problem always seems to have been quarterback, and now they've got a quarterback who everyone kind of wants to rally behind. So even though my wager count does favor Kansas City, it's not as it's not even 2-1. Like it's a very small wager count favoring Kansas City. Now part of that is Houston being at home perhaps. And if I look at my money, it's almost dead even. Like, if you put $1 on Kansas City, I'd probably be balanced, Peter. It's just like that's how even my chart is. I've got slightly more money on the under. We're sitting at 45 on the total. A few more bets on the over, a little bit more money on the under. We're sitting at 45 on the total, but the spread here again is you basically open like a pick or -1 dog 15 everywhere, and that's where we are right now. Kansas City -1 dog 15. We're using a money line of -115 because that's just how close this one is. So it's basically a pick or -1 out there. And again, the total has moved. I think it was like 46.5 is where we first opened up. We're down to 45 right now. So just slightly more money towards the under, even though I've got slightly more bets on the over. But just again, this is another game where I've just got really good two-way action. I think it's with the quarterback situation in Houston, kind of give people a little more confidence back in them because they've always had the decent defense. So I think Watson's kind of solidified things in terms of better, saying, hey, this could be an elite team.
All right, so now let's move on to Baltimore and Oakland. Of course, Derek Carr out, EJ Manuel in at quarterback for Oakland. Sometimes these are the kinds of games where the sharps do see good value, either betting on or against the top team that has a huge injury here. Have the sharps touched this game one way or the other yet?
Yeah, it's interesting on this game. It's not kind of like one of the marquee games this week, but it is one of those games where I do have sharp action. And you just kind of look at your Don Best screen, you can tell where that movement has come from. Oakland is where the sharp money came in. We actually opened Oakland -1. It's up to -3 dog 20 right now. So you're either like 2.5. You see places out there like -2.5, -20 or 25, or -3 dog 20 on this one. So quite a big line move. But that's all been behind Oakland. And again, Baltimore just hasn't looked very good at all this year. I know we're talking about two teams that are both 2-2, but you've got Baltimore, who's just put up 60 points so far. They're having a heck of a time. Flacco just doesn't look, he doesn't look like much, in the last couple of weeks. So I've got sharp action definitely on this game, and it does favor the home favorite there with the Raiders. Like I said, we're all the way up to -3 dog 15. My wager count's actually pretty much even, which is kind of surprising. But I look at my money, and it's definitely one-sided towards Oakland, almost 2-1 favoring Oakland because of those sharp bets. The total, maybe no surprise that it's dropped down. And again, it's not sharp action that's driven that one down. It's probably just looking at the fact that you've got a backup quarterback for Oakland and a guy who's playing like a backup quarterback for Baltimore right now.
All right, so we were having some audio issues there with Brent, but he did tell us that the sharp action came in on Oakland at -1. Sharp action came in on Oakland at -1. The line move to the under was not caused by a notable sharp action, and the KC Houston and Green Bay Dallas games have no notable sharp action as of right now. Brent, what can you tell us about other notable action from NFL Week 5?
Well, I've got, two doggy teams that you might not want to sit down and watch, but at least you don't have to root for either side. And that's the 0-4 Chargers at the 0-4 Giants. Sharp money on this one came on the over. Over 43.5 is where this came in. There's lots of 45s out there right now. I think this is about as high as it's gotten, but definite sharp money on the over there. And again, the Giants, since the coach gave up his head coaching responsibilities, looks like, the offense has been a little bit better. Maybe they're reacting towards that. And the fact that the Chargers are obviously capable of putting up a lot of points. Next one down the line is Buffalo and Cincinnati. Cincinnati, the home favorite there. Cincinnati, hasn't looked that great, and Buffalo's beat a couple of good teams. Buffalo 3-1. They beat Atlanta last week. Went in there and beat Atlanta, and the week before they beat Denver at home. So Buffalo's beat a couple of good teams, and the public has obviously reacted to that. I've got a wager count almost 2-1 favoring the Bills, but I have almost twice as much money on Cincinnati. So you know why the line movement and that the sharp money did come in on the Bengals. -1.5 is that where that came in, and we're up to 3 -115 on Cincinnati now as the home favorite. Again, one of those other games that you might not want to sit down and watch. Jets at Cleveland. Cleveland 0-4. And it's interesting here that I've got, I guess the public has just given up on this one completely. And maybe the Jets have got some life. The coach has pretty much saved his job there for sure. They did get sharp money this week as well. Jets +1.5 at Cleveland. And again, sitting here with a line basically at pick right now. So it's moved like a 1.5. Jets at Cleveland. Again, at Jets +1.5 is where that sharp money came in. And if you look at the standings right now, it's almost amusing. Like if Buffalo happened to lose at Cincinnati and the Jets did win, you'd have the Jets at 3-2, Buffalo at 3-2, and New England at 3-2 in that division, which is almost amusing to me. Another total here for you is San Francisco at Indianapolis. Again, not two great teams. We were talking teams that are 1-7 combined, and still I've got money on this game, and that's towards the over. Over 43 is where this came. We're sitting at 44.5 pretty much across the board, but the over is where the sharp money came. And again, I've got sharp money and my count as well favoring the over, so I've got the public and sharp going that way. And the Oakland Baltimore game that we talked about already, Peter.
All right, Brent, thanks so much. As always, Brent comes from BetDSI Sportsbook, and we'll be back next week for NFL Week 6. Thanks as always, Brent.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.